Good evening, folks. Dan Bird here with the Daily Scan on Monday, the 24th. And yes, the rally has taken off, just like I suspected it might. I mentioned it last week, and I think we got a little hint on Friday, and today looks like a nice follow-through day. So the next question is, how long will it last? We're going to take a look at some things and maybe answer that question. So let's jump into it. I'm going to try to finish this quickly today, if I can. We shall see, because my wife has dinner plans tonight. So anyway, as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only, and you need to make your own investing decisions. Nothing that I say is a suggestion to buy or sell anything. All right, let's look at first on the homepage. The market bias took a sharp upward turn today. I mentioned that could happen last week, but that it might take a while for it to really get moving. However, things actually are looking fairly interesting. So if we look at, let's go through a couple of these. Here's the S&P. In order to get a continued uptrend, this pink line needs to cross the blue line. That's the short-term bull signal. And you can see today it actually closed above the 21-day, which is where I like to see it. That's basically reversion to the mean, but it needs to get up here. So that if it continues like this, then that could be 2 or 3 days for the S&P. And I'll just jump through some of these. You can see they're all 2 or 3 days away from crossing over. But once they do, they're all going to cross pretty much at the same time. So there's the New York Exchange, just one more day for that. That's going to cross pretty much no matter what tomorrow. So all of these are going to cross, and it's all going to happen very quickly. So by the end of this week, if the market keeps on going higher, by the end of the week, I'm expecting to see this market bias back up probably in this area here, back near the middle. We shall see if that happens. And you can notice down here that the short term, the orange line, that's the short term trend, actually crossed over the medium term trend last week. So it was already giving some hints that there might be a rally in store. But the big question now is, will the rally last? We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, let's jump back to the homepage and quickly look at the S&P. S&P today cleared the 21-day also. And look at the momentum. It's still not above zero, so it's still officially in a downtrend. But, and this big volume is from options expiration on Friday. So there's not a volume bar yet on this one. But at any rate, this looks like it could still have some life left in it and may get up here to the 50-day. It's now above both the 21 and the 200, which is the first level, the first testing level. And now it needs to get above the 50-day, which is up here. And more importantly, 5850, which is right about there. 5850 is the line in the sand that has acted as support back through this whole sideways distribution trend. So we really need to get above that. It really officially should make a higher high as well, which would have to get all the way back up here to 5950, but 5850 will be a really critical area, and then the 50-day would be the next one. So, well, we're heading there. Really depends on if we continue going up tomorrow and the rest of the week. Here's the NASDAQ, same thing, sitting right there at the 21, just below the 200. So it's making the same kind of move. It's a gap up today. That leaves an open gap, by the way, so may come back down and fill that. As I've been talking about, what I would not be surprised to happen is for this rally to continue, and then at some point, maybe later this week or more likely sometime next week, or we could even go into April, actually, because April usually is fairly bullish. So this could continue all the way back up close to this, the highs back here. We shall see. Bitcoin also looking nice today. Bitcoin had a nice candle heading right back up to right below its 50-day moving average. And it got a short-term up signal today. So That's good. And here's the chart down here for MicroStrategy, also moving up along with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin might still have some room to run, as with the rest of the market. So that's all looking pretty good. Okay, I'm going to jump into the dashboard real quick, and then I'm going to go over some stocks from last week that people asked about, and including Zuber's channel on One Rental at a Time. Anybody that's interested can go check him out on One Rental at a Time. It's primarily real estate related, but he and I do a call on Sundays related to the market. And there were some questions on that I'll cover today as well. So you can see Bitcoin 88,000. Nice run for Bitcoin today. Still continuing up there. Equities, the NASDAQ 2.25%, NASDAQ 100 almost 2.25%. The VIX continuing to come down. I talked about this last week. The VIX was indicating that there really wasn't a lot of panic going on right now in the market. So this is confirming it. It's now well below 20. In fact, if it goes below 17, then the bulls are firmly in control. All right, the sector summary. You can see all the advancers, more advancers definitely than decliners today. Discretionary technology, two of the aggressive sectors are at the top. Communication services is number 5. So that's doing well. Staples and utilities are two of the most defensive sectors, and they're at the bottom. So that is positive for the market. These are the earnings for last week. We'll look at Micron in a minute too. Let's see, the industry groups, anything interesting? Heavy construction, automobiles is in there, airlines. Nothing else much of interest over there. ASTS, the number 1, up 14% today in the top 10 combined. Really nice candle today. It looks like it's going to continue higher. Root, which has been, it's still, I believe, in the top 3 of all 3 of the top 10 lists. I mean, in the top of all 3 of the top 10 lists. And that one is breaking out to new highs. So up almost 11% on that one. Robinhood starting to move higher. All of these looking pretty good. HIMS starting to move up. All of these, in some cases, are just look like they're just beginning their run. There's Brinker International, Palantir. This one got a short-term up signal today as well, and actually took a position in that, which I'll talk about in a minute. Real quick, we'll look at the bottom. Nothing too much of interest. Gold, right up there in the bottom. WGS. So Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch. That's about it of interest. Interesting. This one actually was really making a move last week. It pulled back a little bit, but really not too much. So maybe one to keep an eye on. All right, let's jump over and take a look at some stocks. Yeah, let's try this. So actually, the first thing is TLT versus TBT. So the 20-year bonds had started to make a move higher. On my website for subscribers, on the charts page at the bottom of the second column are these inverse ETFs down here. One of them is TBT, but it has both the long and the short ETF. So you can see the long version had been going sideways and started to make a move up and started to pull back. And TBT, which is the inverse, started to move, doing the opposite, started to go up. But they are both moving pretty much sideways. So up here you can see this is a relative chart. This is the long 20-year bonds versus the short 20-year bonds. And since it is a relative chart, if it's moving up, then the first parameter is outperforming. So in this case, 20-year bonds are outperforming the inverse one, but just moving sideways. And you can see the 10-year yield started to move up a little bit today as well. So not too impressive for 20-year bonds right now, but something to keep an eye on. The other one that was asked about was TNA, or mentioned. And for this, I actually have a similar chart on the portfolios page for TNA down here. This is the 3X, so the triple leveraged relative charts. And in this case, it's TNA, which is the Russell 2000 triple leveraged versus the bearish version, TZA. So now you can see both of these side by side, and they're mirror images of each other. And you can see the Russell is just coming off the bottom and just beginning to make a move. So it's sitting right at its 21 right now. So you could have been out of the long 3x long up here and into the 3x short there, ridden that up just with the rest of the market as the rest of the market was falling, and made some money right there, but then got out in this area. And if you look at the relative chart, this basically is TNA, which is the long version, TZA, which is the short version. If this is going down, then the short is outperforming. So it's clearly been outperforming for quite a while. But the question is it now bottoming? And indications are that that could be the case. The ADX line is starting to move higher. So think of this as the green are the bulls and the red are the bears. So bulls are, even though it hasn't crossed, the bulls are stronger than the bears right now, and it's above 25. So this one might actually be bottoming and might be ready to start moving higher. Okay, what else? Oh, the next one that somebody asked about is MODG, which is MODG is the golfing company. And for this, I'm going to go to the market bias page again. And I noticed this when I was doing the top 20 year-to-date gainers and losers. And I think it was in here. Maybe not. I thought it was in there, but maybe it's not in there. Oh, you know where it might be? I think on the charts page in the top 10 lists down here. Let's see if it made it on this list. Well, it was in one of these lists, but I think it's really making a move higher right now. So something certainly to keep an eye on. I was sure it was in one of these lists somewhere. But at any rate, let's take a look at it. And MODG. Top Golf, that's it. Callaway Brands. Callaway Brands, which owns Top Golf. So yes, making a move. It got a short-term bullish signal today. It has been in a very long downtrend, however. You can see right there. So this one may be bouncing, but expect it to hit lots of resistance and probably pull back again. So I'd be a little bit careful on this, but it is definitely making a move and starting to come off the bottom. So one to keep an eye on. Okay, so the next three I'm going to go through quickly because they are Warren Buffett stocks, and he apparently just bought these recently. I will preface this by saying I do not invest like Warren Buffett. If Warren Buffett is buying these, then I will have to defer to him that he knows what he's doing, because he always does, or usually does. So Constellation Brands, it looks like Warren's buying near the bottom. It has an inverse head and shoulders, which means if it breaks back up above the 100 level, it probably is going to take off. It's starting to move up a little bit today. Let's look at this on a 10-year chart. So you can see how it had done really well and then pulled back considerably. So the next one is Pool. There's Pool. Pool had a really beautiful run right out of, this is 2015, way back there, 2015 all the way into actually 2022, the bear market, and Pool came down and then kind of went sideways. So this one might be ready to head back to the highs, but I will again defer to Warren on that. And the last one is restaurants and bars, Domino's Pizza. This one doesn't look like it's really got hit as bad, nearly as bad. So it actually probably is a strong contender, but it's got resistance right up here at 520. So it's going to take a while, but of course, Warren likes to hold forever. So it doesn't really matter. And for those that are long-term holders, all of these pieces right here, all this right here is just noise. So not too much to think about. Okay, the last thing that I was asked about is, I've talked about perhaps that this year might go down. And the question was, what does it look like compared to 2022? Now, I did this last week, but this was over on the other channel. So I'm going to show this here again tonight. This is what 2022 looked like. So you can see this was the bottom right here. Actually, the bottom was here. The absolute bottom was here in October. So the percentage of stocks above the 20-day down there, above the 50-day, way down. This hit like 4 or 5%. So wouldn't you love to know what those 4 or 5 stocks were that were still above their 50-day after this one almost a year's worth of downtrend? If we get down there again, I'm going to show you a way to do that. And then the 200 also way down here at 10%. Now 30% is the point where I'm watching for a bottom. But back here in 22 made it all the way down to 30%. And you can see the VIX hit a peak right here, almost exactly where the bottom was in October. And then the put call ratio continued to go up. So people were buying more puts, which actually is a good thing. That's where things reverse when there's too many sellers. That's where things typically reverse. And they reversed here, and then we got 2 higher highs from there going into the end of the year. So that's what 2022 looked like, and compared to where we are right now in 25, we're just starting the downtrend. We just got a bounce. You can see right there, right up to just below the 200-day moving average. And the percentage above the 20 is all the way back to 50% now. And percentage above the 50 is at 35%, and above the 200 is at 51%. So all of these are recovering. So this implies to me that we have not yet made a bottom, that a bottom might still be in store in our future. The next levels to watch are right up here around the 50-day moving average. But I wouldn't be surprised to see this go up and then reverse and go actually lower than this, just like it did in 22. So that's just a comparison of what those look like. All right, the last thing I want to do is a daily scan. And first, I want to show you what I showed last Friday when we talked about the selling puts and a way to scan for stocks to make 100% yield on, 100% gain, basically. So one of the ones I showed on Friday that I got into with this strategy is Tesla. I said on 3/21, which was Friday, I sold the 230 put. So the strike price was at $230. And this was on Friday, that candle right there. And I said, as long as it stays below 230 for 1 week, meaning the expiration was this Friday, the 28th, then I would make 100%. Now you see what happened today with Tesla. And Tesla doesn't look like it's finished yet either. But Tesla had an incredible run today. I was watching it, and probably about an hour before the close, I was up to a 90% gain. So I didn't wait. I just took the 90%. Could have had 100, I think. Probably won't come back to 230. But why be greedy? I think 90% on a 1-day trade is pretty good. So I took it on that one. So what did I do today? Well, I'm going to show you the scan, but I'll show you the one that I actually got in today, which is Lilly, Eli Lilly. Got in with a strike price of 840. This is probably at about 3:30 this afternoon. You can see it closed above the 21-day moving average right there. That's why it hits the scan. And the expiration is again on Friday. So as long as it stays above $840, right now it's at $865. As long as it stays above $840 for 4 more days, then this will be 100% gain. And we'll watch it. We'll continue to watch and see what happens. If for some reason it doesn't, I'm trying to remember what the premium, $3.64 was the premium. So if it does close below 840, then I will be a buyer at 840 minus the $3.60 I already have. So that will be 836.40. 836.40 will be my basis or my buy-in point for Lilly, and I'd be happy with an entry right there for Lilly. So it's a way to buy a stock at a discount as well. But strong stocks like this, especially with momentum behind them and with the market moving up, they typically, when they cross over the 21 like that, they typically will keep moving at least for a week. And that's all I'm really asking is for 1 week. So here's the scan. Here's the scan I ran, and it's called the 5 crossing the 21 optionable stocks. So this is from a chart list that I actually put on my website on the options page for those subscribers that like to do options. Right down here, stocks with weekly options. So all the stocks in this list, this will give you the list in the CSV format, which you can import into any other platform. But any stock in this list will have weekly options that expire weekly. So that's what I'm looking for. Usually they have lots of liquidity as well. So that's the scan right here. So basically is looking for, number one, anything that's in that list. So all these stocks have weekly options. Looking for something that has been moving up. Looking for something that is very close to the 5-day crossing the 21, which is my short-term bullish signal. It was below the 21 yesterday, or Friday in this case, but today it closed above the 21. Now, just because it makes the list doesn't mean I might want to buy it. And you'll notice on this one with Autodesk, it has a black candle, which means it opened up here and it closed at the bottom. Even though the ADX is crossing, the green's crossing above the 25, this may very well continue higher. But right at the 200, it pulled back today. So I would pass on that one. You can see the names in this. There's lots of really good names. Amazon probably is a good one. Maybe I'll do an option trade on that one tomorrow. So it's sitting right at the 21. Here's American Express, just crossing the 21. So the thing to watch on this is, number one, it's moving up. They're all going to be right at the 21. So they're right reverting to the mean, right in the middle of their range. Notice the momentum is moving higher. Notice the ADX line is just getting ready to cross, the green almost crossing the red. So those are ideal situations. One more day and all of these things might actually be triggering. Be even nicer if there was a squeeze up here like there was back here, but not necessary. So American Express is a good one. Here's Citigroup. That one looks pretty good. You can see the ADX is just getting ready to cross. Chewy is one that I would say didn't look that great. It also had a black candle on it. Capital One looks really nice. CrowdStrike looks even better. It actually had a hammer today. So it's got a lot of things going for it, although volume was light. Let me see volume on Amazon. A little below average. Yeah, most of these are a little bit below average. Carvana is one that looked really interesting, had a great candle today. And the ADX actually is crossing. So that one looks pretty nice. Dell has a shooting star, so I would pass on that one. DraftKings has a shooting star, probably pass on that one, even though everything else looks pretty good. What else do we have? eBay. eBay has a hammer, and all the moving averages are consolidated right there together. Although low volume, jury would be out on that one. Harley-Davidson. Harley-Davidson is in a long downtrend, so it does have a squeeze up here. But this one has a lot of work to do. It's got a lot of resistance to get through still. Here's IBIT, which is a Bitcoin ETF. That one certainly looks interesting. Software ETF. That one's moving above. And JP Morgan is on the list. You can see right there, there's Lilly. So this is the one that I did today. Lilly had a great candle today. So if this just stays above 840, which is right there, 840 is right there. So it's a little above the 50-day. So the 50-day is moving higher. So if it just stays above 840 for 4 more days, then that'll be 100% gain. Macy's, Lyft is on here. Mara, that's a miner, Bitcoin miner. Morgan Stanley, Microsoft, black candle on Microsoft, so careful. NVIDIA, NVIDIA looks nice above the 21 now, so it might be ready to move. It's got both the 50 and the 200 above it, so a little bit of work it's going to have to get through, but certainly could stay up there. I mean, this one, I did not do this one, but this one I would probably do at about 115, somewhere in that range. Palo Alto, black candle on that, I'd probably pass on that one. Pulte, nice candle on Pulte, but it's in a very long downtrend, so probably would pass on that one. Qualcomm's on the list. The Qs, so the NASDAQ made the list. SMCI, not much happening there. Probably wouldn't do anything there. Here's the semiconductors. Looks good. Snowflake. You notice the number of really good names that are on here. SoFi, well above the 21, so that one actually looks pretty good. This is a low priced stock too, so you wouldn't even need to do options on this. You could just buy that stock. T-Mobile, Toll Brothers, Tesla. There's Tesla. So this is the one I got in Friday and got out today. 90% gain in one day. What else? Visa, Wells Fargo, communication services, industrials, real estate, consumer discretionary. So you can see all of the sectors that are moving up also. Here's retail. Retail had a nice move today as well. So all of this, I think, is a relief reaction rally that may continue. It looks like it has some momentum behind it. It was a very oversold market. So it's actually now made a higher low. So if it goes up and closes above this level, it'll be a higher high. So that'll be positive. But all of these have momentum behind them, and I think they can continue for at least a few days, maybe into next week sometime. And April actually looks pretty good. I'll show you what April looks like real quick from Stock Traders Almanac. And also what, let's see, here's March. So first I'll show March. There's March. And we are here. We're actually one day more, but you can see March. This is a 21-year performance. And the dotted lines are just the election years going back to 1950. But all of these pretty much are running in a similar pattern. So the rest of this week, just like I said, historically usually is an up week. And the next one is April. So you can see April historically also is a pretty positive month right up until the end, just before we move into May and sell in May and go away. So for those that watched the video yesterday that I did, we talked about the Fed and we talked about CPI and the jobs number. Then I think all of those are going to come into play at the end of April, the beginning of May, that may have a very choppy market. That may be the point that the market starts to go back down again. We shall see. Anyway, that's what the historical trends look like, thanks to Stock Traders Almanac. Anybody that's interested can go over there and check them out. Really, really good research, historical research on what the market has typically done over many, many years. All right, that's it for today. Thanks everyone for watching. Please like and subscribe. My website, again, is breakpointtrading.net. The free newsletter that comes out every weekend is in this little box right here. No subscription needed for that. Just click on that box. If you want to be alerted that the newsletter is available, at the bottom of the homepage, you can sign up for the $0, no credit card needed. We don't share emails with anybody for any of these levels. You could do a 7-day free trial if you want to, or $99 for the full year for the whole site, all the content. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching tonight. Hopefully the rally will continue. Looks like we've just getting started, as I was expecting. And don't think that that's the end of the downtrend, however. That has not yet been proven. So the market needs to prove that. Stay tuned here and I'll let you know what I'm seeing as we get closer to that point. So thanks again and be safe. I'll talk to you tomorrow.